start to another NBA season is right around the corner. And joining me to break down our favorite futures bets is Michael Crosson, who covers the NBA for us here at VegasInsider.com. Michael, welcome. Now, before we get into our picks, let's take a look at the top, the odds board to go all the way and win the NBA championship this year. We have the Clippers, as the favorite. They're going to try to stay healthy this year, coming in at plus 550. They're followed by the defending champion Warriors, the Celtics, the Nets, the Bucks, the Suns, the 76ers. Then we have the Lakers coming in at 18-1. They got to stay healthy too this year. All right, Michael, so let's go big right off the bat here. I'm going to let you go first. Who's winning it all this year, and who will they be beating in the finals?
So I'm actually going Warriors over Nets. And for me, the West is just so one of those things where who are you going to trust in the West right now? You've got the Suns. They got bounced by the Mavericks in the second round last year. And then I never really considered the Mavericks or Grizzlies legit contenders, at least not on the levels like the Warriors. If you're looking for one of those mid-levels, I think you probably look towards like the Nuggets. But same thing, I don't really trust them to get healthy. And I also don't think that they have the perimeter shooting to keep up with the Warriors. I think probably the best team that actually has a shot knocking off the Warriors is probably the Clippers. But it also, same thing, I also don't feel comfortable betting on playoff P in the playoffs. So I think it's Warriors kind of by default. They don't really beat themselves. You just have to kind of hope and pray that they miss a bunch of shots. And I just don't really feel like betting against them to do that. So I've got the Warriors out of the West. And then for the East, the Nets is probably the more hotter take of the two. But this team was just an absolute disaster last year, and they were kind of doomed from the jump. Kyrie Irving only played in 29 contests. And obviously they traded for Ben Simmons late in the year. Joe Harris went out early. But if you look back to 2 years ago, I mean, the Nets, they beat the Celtics in 5 games in the first round of the playoffs. Then they lost to the Bucks in 7 without Kyrie, or while Kyrie was hurt. And then I think when you add Ben Simmons to this team, I know people are he's the easiest player in the league to make fun of, but this is a Brooklyn team that they weren't losing games because they couldn't score. It was always more because they had lapses on the defensive end or they couldn't guard somebody. And last time we saw Ben Simmons, he finished the year second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. So I think he adds something to the equation in Brooklyn that's going to be really useful for them. And I'm just not quite sold on any of these other teams in the East. So I'm going Warriors over Nets.
All right, Michael, we are aligned on one side here, not so much on the other, which we'll get into here shortly. I'm going to take the Bucks to win the whole thing this year, and I've got them beating the Warriors here in the NBA Finals. And this has a lot to do with great value and the fact that the Bucks have the best player in the NBA. Is that even debatable at this point here? So you take a look at the value perspective, and really you have the Bucks behind both the Celtics, who have quite a bit of drama going on right now, and the Nets. What have the Nets done to warrant a top 5 spot on the odds board? All the talent in the world, but I think that could fall apart very quickly for them. As for the Celtics needed 7 games to beat the Bucks last year in the playoffs, and the Bucks didn't have Chris Middleton. I think that changed things dramatically. So I like the Bucks to get back here and win their second championship in 3 years. As for the Warriors, there's just so much depth on this roster, Michael. Can you imagine if James Wiseman turns out good at all and lives up to the expectations he had when he was drafted? And this team, the Warriors, nobody navigates a regular season better than the Warriors. I absolutely hate the rest and the holding players out, but it's smart because it gets guys ready for the playoffs. And I think, we saw it this past season where Steph Curry and Draymond Green both missed significant amounts of time due to injuries. I think that the Warriors held them out longer than they needed to so that they would be fresher for the playoffs. I think we're also going to see more of a contribution from Clay. Jordan Poole likely to get better as long as he can avoid getting punched out again. So I like the Bucks and the Warriors, and which has the makings of a very exciting finals. 50-1 for that exact outcome, by the way, for the Bucks to beat the Warriors in the finals. Okay, Michael, let's take a look at some of our favorite over-under win total bets for the season. What's your first bet?
So I'd go for my over, I'm looking at the Sixers actually. So the Sixers, they won 51 games last year and their win total over under sitting at 50 and a half. And this is a team that it's so hard. Nobody really talks about how much it hurts a team when you have a max player contract guy sitting on the bench for you all year. I mean, it just really reduces your depth and it really just it affects everything you want to do, affects your rotations, everything that you want to do offensively. And then I don't know. You get James Harden late in the year, and they didn't look all that much better. But I think just they did it last year. They got over this number. And I think with having that much money in play, I mean, just having James Harden on the floor as opposed to having Ben Simmons sitting out, I think it should add a lot of depth to this team. I think they'll be a great regular season team. I think this team's going to shoot a gazillion free throws with James Harden and Joel Embiid. I mean, I think there's going to be people aren't going to really want to defend against them in the regular season, but Doc Rivers is so notorious for choking and stuff. So I don't love them in the postseason quite as much, but I think you are probably looking at the Sixers coming very close to getting the 1 seed this year if they stay healthy.
Yeah, the Sixers, a great regular season team, and that's it. Can't trust them in the playoffs. I like Maxi, though. I think Maxi will have a breakout season, of course. Okay, my favorite over bet here, Michael. I like the Heat over 48 and a half wins, and this number is disrespectful. Are you kidding me? 48 and a half for a Heat team that won 53 games last season, despite the fact that Jimmy Butler missed 25 games and Bam Adebayo missed 26 games. I also think that there's potential for this team to have some of the best depth in the NBA. I think you could see a better contribution from Victor Oladipo, who seems to be healthy coming into a season finally. Also, a lot of buzz around rookie Nikola Jovic. And just look at this team overall. One of the best coach teams in the NBA. One of the best defensive teams in the NBA. The best three-point shooting team in the NBA last season. Can you imagine if Tyler Hero gets better? So this Heat team, this number is disrespectful. 48 and a half. I absolutely love that over for them. What are you looking at, Michael, for your next win total bet?
So I'm also looking at the Celtics under, and so their win total over under stationed at 53 and a half, and or 52 and a half maybe, and that number's there because that's what the Heat, they got the 1 seed last year with 53 wins, and obviously they're just projecting the Celtics to kind of take over that role. But the Celtics, they haven't won 53 games. They've only done it once since 2012. Actually, if you look at their last 4 seasons, you're looking at 51 and 31 last season, 36 and 36 in 2020, 48 and 24, 9 30. And it's just one of those things that the Celtics are actually, they carried a losing record into January last year. They were about 18 and 21 at the start of January. And then they end up going, obviously they trade away Dennis Schroeder, they bring back Al Horford, and then they go on a 33 and 10 run the rest of the year. And then either way, I just don't trust them to necessarily get back over that number, especially with Robert Williams having knee surgery. They lose Daniel Tice down low. I do think Al Horford is a great fit for this team, but I worry about their ability to defend the interior, especially with teams coming in like the Sixers, the Bucks that really like to bang down low. I mean, the Celtics pride themselves on so much defense. Like they rode the coattail of their defense all the way to the finals last year, and if they lose even a step or two in that, I think it really hurts them. So I got the Celtics going under.
Okay, Michael, now it is my time to kind of fade your pick of the Nets to make the NBA Finals. I don't doubt that they can do good during the playoffs in a playoff series. They got all that talent in the world, but the potential for an absolute disaster, that's a very high possibility that this could happen with this team. So I'm going to take them to go under 50 and a half regular season wins, coming in at even money. And besides all the drama, these guys miss a lot of time. The top three guys on the team. Take a look at Kyrie Irving. He's played 103 games in his 3 total seasons in Brooklyn, missing games for a wide variety of reasons, including injuries. Kevin Durant, he's only played 90 games in 2 seasons. And of course, Ben Simmons, what a gigantic question mark this guy is. He missed all last season. He failed to reach 60 games in the 2 previous seasons. For Kyrie and Ben Simmons, It won't take much for either of those guys to be totally checked out. Would anyone be shocked if we're 2 months into the season and KD and Kyrie, they're trying to get Steve Nash fired? It's not like that's never happened before. So the talent is absolutely there, but there's just way too many red flags for me, and the injury history, so much drama. So I can't back the Nets at this number. But what I will say, if the Nets, if they can be in the mix here, it's fun for basketball. The more drama, the better. Okay, Michael, bonus pick. What else are you looking at here for the upcoming season?
Yeah, so for a player award, I was looking at Anthony Edwards to win most improved. And so last year we saw John Morant win most improved. It was like, I think 2 years ago, he averaged around 19, 20 points a game. Then this year we see him jump up, or last year we saw him jump up to around 27 points a game. And the Grizzlies, I think part of the reason I think we even saw the award go to him last year is because the Grizzlies won so many games. I mean, they got one of the top seeds in the West, and they just kind of came out of nowhere. And I think you might be looking at the Timberwolves as kind of being that team that might kind of make some noise in the West, some unexpected noise in the West. And then Anthony Edwards, it was like he averaged around 19 or 20 in the regular season last year. And then I think he only got 6 playoff matchups in before they got knocked out. But he averaged, it was like 25 across those matchups, and he scored 30 in 2 of them. So I kind of look to him to break out. I think for this award, you're probably looking at a player that he's already established in the league as a solid up and coming player, and then they kind of break out eventually. And I think that'll be Anthony Edwards this year. I mean, I think the other guys kind of at the top of this list, like you mentioned, Tyrese Maxey, you've got Jalen Brunson, Bones Highland. RJ Barrett. I just think Anthony Edwards is going to have, make a bigger jump than all of those guys. So I'd look to him for there at around, it was like plus 700, 800.
It's kind of a weird award, isn't it? The most improved. You would think it would go to a guy that no one's ever heard of the previous year. Then the guys kind of come out of nowhere to flirt with, being an all-star or something like that. But yeah, I like that pick. I like Edwards, and I like Maxey. Like I said, I think you're going to see him be depending on to do a lot of the scoring for Philadelphia. Okay, my bonus pick, Michael. I'm going to take a 15-1 long shot. I'm going to take the Grizzlies to have the most regular season wins this season, 9th on the odds board. I think they're being disrespected here. This is a team that had the second most wins last season, despite their best player, John Morant, only playing in 57 games. And I talked earlier about how a team like the Warriors are really good at navigating the regular season. Their stars are going to get a lot of rest. With young teams like this, you often see them keep their foot on the gas for the entirety of the regular season. Like, when Milwaukee started to break out, you saw them have a 60-win season back in 2018-19. Of course, the Warriors, when they were breaking out, they had 67 or more wins 3 times. So once they get older, maybe they start to chill out a little bit and rest these guys a little bit more. But the foot's going to be on the gas for the Memphis Grizzlies here. So I'll take them 15-1 to have the most wins in the regular season. Okay, Michael, where can people find you for your NBA coverage this season?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at mcrossonvi, or just anywhere. Vegas Insider website. I write most of our NBA previews, NFL previews, whatever.
Okay, there you have it. I can't wait for this season. A little bit of parity here this season, Michael. Remember those, 4 years in a row where everyone knew at the start of the season that it was going to be Warriors versus Cavs? This year, you could probably make a case for 10 teams, 12 teams getting to the finals, winning the finals. So I'm pretty pumped for this season. Thank you guys for watching this video. Good luck with your bets this season, and make sure you keep it locked on VegasInsider.com for all your NBA betting needs.